Are you lazy or are you burned out? We're going to talk about this today. My name is Crystal Turner. I am a psychiatric nurse practitioner who has gone holistic because I know to be whole is to be healed. So I want you to hit your like button, hit the subscribe button, and turn on notifications so you can be notified of every video that I post in YouTube, which I will do once a week. And this idea of burnout and laziness is important to differentiate because we can walk in this idea that we're lazy, and it's important to not do that if that's not what's really happening. First of all, what we define ourselves as, we tend to develop those kind of attributes. So labeling ourselves as lazy definitely is not going to be to your advantage, but definitely not to your advantage if there's something deeper that's going on. So we want to really differentiate between the two. And, I'll really start this with me being in grade school. I dealt with bullying in grade school. I also dealt with some emotional dynamics that were going on at home. And I remember going to grade school, I would be nervous every single morning, day in and day out. I would sit, a particular cartoon that would come on every morning before going to school. I remember butterflies in my stomach and sweaty palms every morning, having to go to school, for years. And I remember at some point, my attitude toward my work just changed. I just didn't really have an interest in it. And I remember also having teachers who told me that I was lazy, one particular teacher. And I really just believed that maybe that's what was the issue. I was just lazy. But being able to look back now, I can see that there was more that was going on there. I was really emotionally exhausted. And that's what I want to first do is define what burnout is. And it is really a negative state of emotional, physical, or mental exhaustion that comes from, usually in the forms of either, our work that we do in some type of way. It could be in your job, it could be at school, it could be, in your mission, the things that you really once had a desire and a care and a concern for. So the first key sign I want you to keep in mind when it comes to burnout, as opposed to laziness, is that laziness is a character trait. It's something that really has been the baseline of how you may function. It may not be any motivation or drive there. When we're talking about burnout, things that you were passionate about initially, you may have lost that passion and be more apathetic toward that area of your life that you once held with such passion. Also, motivation shifts, motivation changes, and that's a big defining factor for burnout is you were once motivated toward a thing and now you're finding that you lack that motivation. So number two is the lack of motivation for something you were once motivated to do. Number three would be a lack of enjoyment. You there can be things that you really enjoy doing, that it really was something you will look forward to, really something that you just got good experiences from doing these things, and now you're not feeling that anymore. Even if you have the desire to want to feel it, which I would imagine you would, it's not being met with anything that will make you care to do it again, or have a smile about having done it. It's just like it's not bringing that same joy that it used to bring. There also can be changes in your mood as it pertains to these factors in life. It could be more irritability, it could be more anxiety when you think about these things that you used to do or that you want to do. You may tend to have more anxiety or irritability, or even maybe some sadness when it comes to doing these things that you once did, and the motivation again isn't there. So I think that was number three. And number four is your lack of self care. Self care, again, may have gone to the wayside. Your desire to get up and have the energy to do the things that you used to have the energy to do may have shifted. Again, when we're talking about laziness, these aren't concerns. This may be the way of being. It may just be more contentment with not having the desire, not having the drive, not having the motivation. And it's not a shift or a change that's occurring. When we're talking about burnout, there once used to be a different state of being that is gradually changing. And you're losing the interest, the desire, you're getting more irritable, and you're caring for yourself less. Sometimes when it comes to dealing with burnout, have taken a day off may not solve that thing, especially if you're burned out from a particular uh, type of engagement that you used to have. If it's through your business, if it's through your mission, if it's through your work, your job, taking a day off and going back the next day may not make you feel any more into this thing than before. So there are a few things that I want you to keep in mind when it comes to approaching how to deal with this type of this burnout. Is really considering where this is coming from. So in many situations, trauma has its role. And trauma is something I speak about a lot because it's a word that we don't usually connect to our personal experience. But an example that I would like to give is someone who has dealt with feeling worthy, or parents wanting them to just give and never getting the accolades of a job well done, or your value only being if you achieve certain things in life. And so if those things aren't resolved in childhood and it really did impact you, a person can have a passion for something that they want to give to in society, if it's through a business, if it's whatever that mission is for you. And so you could put a lot of effort into working and doing these things and not having boundaries to self care, truly taking a break, truly dealing with the real underlying issues, which would be your self value, regardless of the work that you're doing, that you have a value just in your being. If we're not doing that and giving all your all to your work, and it is without any self care, this can lead to a level of exhaustion. And it's unfortunate for that to happen, especially if the work that you've been doing has been something that you truly have a passion about, and not wanting to allow the work that you do to fizzle to the wayside because there's not been any self-care. And the reason and why you work so hard is that it's through your work that you feel valuable for yourself. And so thinking about how our past experiences can contribute to how we're giving in our spaces of work, if it's leadership, if it's our these healing spaces, if we don't give some level of moments for self so that we can have a boundary and then be able to continue those things that we do with a level of joy and contentment from the work that we're doing. um, when we don't do that, we can risk becoming burned out, and then the work that we're doing, it never gets done. So considering where our past experiences may contribute to how we are approaching the work that we do, or the why behind why we're doing it, can be really important to consider as well. And really thinking about your values. So giving to society may be a big thing for you. I think it is for most people, but making sure that the work that you're doing aligns with your own personal values, because usually when we have a value connected, um, it gives us so much more when we're giving in those spaces. But again, knowing that even if we're giving in a space that gives us value, there still has to be boundaries in terms of the time we give to ourselves and just our beingness, and also dealing with maybe difficult definitions that you could have of yourself, that kind of impacts how you move or why you do things in the way you do. If you come from a background of feeling that you're not valuable unless you are doing, there is definitely some work that could be done there to really recognize your value, regardless of if you're doing this work or not, so that all of your energy doesn't go so much into the work that you become depleted and never being able to fill your own cup, so to speak. Also, when you're dealing with burnout for a prolonged period of time, burnout that increases really can lead to depression. And so we want to really have that awareness because there can be some overlap with depression and burnout. You know, with depression, there can be a lack of enjoyment in things you once enjoyed, a lack of motivation, definitely fluctuation moods. So it's important to also be connected with a healthcare professional who can support you if you're noticing these changes and it's not getting better for you. But the biggest thing I really want to keep with you today is to know that you are valuable. All of us come from some type of past. And for many of us, that past has defined how we see ourselves. And oftentimes we try to correct how we see ourselves through our careers, through our mission that we may have on this earth. And if we're not dealing with the source of these emotional ways that we see ourselves, then we end up hurting even the things that we approach with a good heart, with good intention. And if we're going to start anything in this world, wouldn't you want to see it flourish? In order to see those things flourish, it's important to water yourself too, to care for yourself, to do your own healing as you grow in your own work that you do, that you can heal along with the work that you do and see how then those things that you are contributing to this world, see how they blossom as well. Everyone has purpose. We all are meant to be here. Some of us have had a start in life where we have felt like our existence isn't as important, and that's always wrong. So I just really want to encourage that if the nature and how you give in your workspaces is really causing exhaustion for you, to really dig deeper into what that might be about. So that's what I want to leave with you today. Please do not forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, turn on your notifications so that you'll be notified with every video that I put here in YouTube every week. And I will see you in the next video. Take care of yourself.